and welcome to another edition of King Crush Thursday, the series where we highlight and uplift Black men, because frankly, not too many people are doing it. My name is Val Gay, and I'm so excited to bring to you this amazing brother today. He is a seasoned leader, entrepreneur, and civic leader. He's a husband, he's a father, he's an ordained minister, and so much more. Please read his very impressive bio below. But in the meantime, please join me in welcoming Mr. James, also known as Jim Turner. Hi, Jim.
Good afternoon, good evening, good day. How are you, Val? It's so wonderful to be here in your presence today.
Thank you so much, Jim. Likewise. I'm so glad that you said yes to this interview. And as you know, we are building a repository of 6 questions on our way to 100 answers by 100 different positive and successful Black men, with our goal of shifting the narrative, the very myopic narrative that exists about our community and particularly about Black men. And one day, my dear prayer is that a young king who may or may not have positive Black male role models in his life can come to this repository, see the same questions, 6 questions answered by 100 different Black men, and hopefully find guidance there. And then for the rest of us who are neither Black or even male, to also be able to look in and find some answers and some guidance, and at least an expansion of what we thought about this very narrowly defined group of people in our community. So with that, I'm so glad that you're contributing to this conversation. And with that, I'm gonna get started with the first question, which is, what does manhood mean to you?
Wow, so that's a great question. Manhood, let me do it this way. Something that my pastor, story she told a long time ago. And she did a message called Boys to Men. And in that message, she talked about how boys were chaotic. Right? So messy rooms, it's all about me. It's, where's mine? Mom, where's this? Dad's, can I have that? Whatever. So that's a boy, right? And then she said, we moved into adulthood, not really manhood, where we really feel like it's a little bit more, not so much about us, but there's still a greater world around us. So we're looking for a wife, we're looking for whatever. We're still not men yet. We still haven't gotten there. And then she said, then you move into manhood. And when you become a man, you really become responsible for those that you have taken into your tribe. And you have put yourself in a position of leadership within that tribe in order to move forward. But she said there's another phase that's beyond that. She goes beyond manhood, then you become a patriarch. And so the patriarch is really what I really believe a true man is, because a patriarch is one who is not just concerned about me and mine and what's happening in my house, but literally what's happening throughout the entire community. So the young man, the young woman walking down the street, you're going to be big enough and bold enough to say, no, that's not the way to go, or this is what you need to do. And you're willing to share both your wisdom, your time, your talent, and your resources to make sure other people are better. So that's, to me, is what true manhood is.
Wow, awesome, excellent, thank you so much. So Jim, who and or what is important to you?
Wow, so everybody's important. Probably the things that are most important to me are my family, my wife, my children, and really, I live in the city of Chester, and so the more days I spend in the city of Chester, the more seeing the narrative here change. So it's all important. I believe I'm here for a purpose, and I'm determined not to leave until the purpose is fulfilled.
Awesome, excellent. So Jim, how do you want us to see you?
Just the guy, just the guy. People have asked me that before, so you go into a room and they'll say, well, how do you want people to address you? And I just simply want to be the trusted person in the room that is open and honest. And when I leave any room, I've given everything that I have. So I want to just be that. So matter of fact, I do it this way. When I go into a meeting, I have a lot of titles, a lot of organizations I'm involved with and things like that. And so one day I got in trouble because I was in a meeting and I was representing me. And it was a political meeting, a city council meeting to be exact. And they went back to one of my clients and said, "Oh, well, Jim Turner said da da da, so forth and so on," right? And so the client, was trying to basically disengage themselves from me because what I said. And so from that point on, when I went, every meeting I go into, when I go to make a statement, I clearly say, "This is Jim Turner, just Jim Turner." So I'm not representing any entity. I don't represent the radio stations, the TV stations, the government, nobody but Jim Turner. So that's how I want to be. And I want, and this is one of the things I think is important for as Black men or as people just in general, is that I want that to be good enough. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want what I say out of my mouth not to have to be associated with, oh, he worked for this mayor, or he worked for this governor, or he's on this commission, or he's a part of whatever. I want my word to be just good enough that I said it, and that's good enough and strong enough to take you to wherever you need to go.
Oh, I get that. I just get that.
You probably go through that too, right?
I totally get it. Yeah. That's awesome. So, Jim, what is your epic dream?
So my epic dream is to, so I have a vision, and that vision is I want to literally fill the airwaves with the gospel of Jesus Christ. I absolutely, so I want to control radio, television, media across the world. I want there to be a different narrative that people are able to touch. One time when I was working in Philadelphia for WDAS radio, I came across a scenario where there was a lot of, you might even remember it. I was very young, but just getting started. But the whole MOVE issue came up. I had just started working for DAS when that took place, and I saw all the tension and all of the things that were being said and happening in and around Philadelphia at that particular time. And it was scary because our voice was not heard. What was really going on, what African Americans believed about MOVE was not the narrative that was being carried out. And so all the news lines, and I sat there in the newsroom with E. Stephen Collins and with the whole crew there, and watch them read the narrative that was given. But at the same time, sat in the room afterwards when they wanted to say something totally different. You see what I'm saying? And so I want to build a space and a place where we can say and be exactly who we need to be, and that it comes from our perspective. In the city of Chester, the narrative that's painted for the city is, second most impoverished city in the United States of America, high crime, low babies getting pregnant every street corner, all that kind of stuff. Well, that's their narrative. That's not the narrative that I know. That's not the people that I know. And so what I realize is that if we don't have our own space to be able to do that, owned, operated, and not just that we are the faces of it, but we are literally the keepers of it, that it's ours. So therefore, when we want to say, what's happening to George Floyd is absolutely wrong, we don't have to see the images of the Black man who, stole whatever or didn't have whatever and whatever. No, we tell the real story. No, this has been going on since the beginning of times through slavery. We have been dealing with this. And what that man did was exactly what the slave keepers did back in the day. It's the same thing that happened in the 60s and the 70s, in the 20s, in the 1800s, and all the way down the line. It was simply white people saying, "Niggers, get your behind back in place, because we got our foot on your neck." That's what that was all about. But we couldn't say that. So I want that place, that space.
I hear you. I hear you. Okay. I hear you. Awesome. So you've been telling us and answering question number 5 all along implicitly, but I'm going to ask you explicitly, Mr. Jim or James Turner, who are you?
So I believe I am a son of God who is here on the planet for such a time as this to help to motivate, to encourage, and to strengthen the communities that I touch. And that I am the person that is willing to take responsibility for what I say, for what I do, and for when I do it. And that's really who I am. You know, at the end of the day, like I said, you can say chairman this, commissioner that, all this other stuff, trustee this. None of that makes any difference. At the end of every day when I get up, I say, God, am I being pleasing to you? Every day when I lay down at night, God, was I pleasing to you? You know, and then throughout the day, have I been honest with every person that I've come across? And have I given them the very best that I can give them? And if I can say yes to those things, then I can go to sleep. And if I say no to those things, then I repent and I get up and I figure out how I'm going to make it better the next day.
Amen.
Yeah.
So here we are already at question 6, which is there anything I should have asked you that I didn't ask you, or you wanted me to ask you that I didn't? In other words, what did I miss?
Yeah, I think the only thing, and especially given the topic of what you're saying, for me is, you know, I guess the other question is, what should we as Black men be doing for the next generation and for our communities? And I don't think that we challenge ourselves enough with that question. And, you know, for me, that answer is, you know, we have to step up more. We have to stop operating in a silo, even as men. Our only conversation can't be in the barbershop. It can't be on the corner. It can't be at the cookout. We literally have to look at, how do we change our community? How do we change our society? And the crazy part about it is that we don't have to do anything new. You realize when you look back through history, and I'm just talking about our history here in America and of recent, and, you know, we're right now in the Philadelphia area, you know, but I look back to one of the men that I just look up to so much is Leon Sullivan. And, you know, Leon Sullivan, for those who don't know, you know, basically single-handedly or started the movement to stop apartheid from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. He stopped what was going on in South Africa through very strategic moves. He mobilized us as a community enough that we started our own credit unions, and we weren't dealing with banks that were redlining and things like that. He started the only, you know, to this day, still can't believe it, to this day, the only African-American owned and operated strip mall in this country, Leon Sullivan. And he put together OIC. So he did that. If you read his books and things like that, he did that with a lot of help, with a lot of vision, with a lot of people, both Black, white, and indifferent. So I'm not leaving anybody out, but he focused on making a difference in our community. And I believe that we have to be responsible to do that. We cannot wait for, certainly the white man. We can't wait for women. We can't wait for God to come down from heaven to change the plight of where we are, right? I believe that each and every one of us is here because God sent us here to change the plight of what's happening in the world at this particular point. You know, even when we look at, you know, and again, I know it's a period in time, but even when we look at the young lady, you know, that's over in Russia right now, that is, you know, being detained, you know, talking about 9 years for an ounce of whatever it was, you know, and so here we are, and we have let every criminal you can imagine out of jail on all kinds of things all over the world. And yet we as a people, as a Black, so even though I have an issue with what Washington is doing and things like that, I have a greater issue with what we as Black people have not done in order to demand whatever. Because again, we control things based on our economic power and our economic strength. And we need to recognize that. If we want to shut down anything, all we have to do is stop buying it. So you figure out what Russia is, what we're buying from Russia, and stop buying it here in America, and watch what Russia does when we say, let our sister home, bring her home, stop this foolishness. You know, to America, we say the exact same thing. You know, Mr. Biden, love you, you know, you from right down the street and all that good stuff. But excuse my French, but how in the heck, because I was going to say something else, but how are you sitting in that seat and allowing this travesty to take place? Because it's the same thing. This is George Floyd all over again. It's just with a different narrative, right? It's the same thing. We control you, Black people. We control what's going on. And until we as a people rise up and begin to get serious about it, not just marching, not just, crying, not putting teddy bears on the corner and things like that, but we need to stop this stuff, and we can, and it's time to do it, and so that's the question. I think that if you were to add a seventh question to it, it's, okay, Black man, what are you going to do? What are you taking responsibility to do for your community and for the world? And what are you willing to stand up big enough to say in order to, to maybe get shot, right? With Dr. King, I always, people always talk about Dr. King and the civil rights movement and all that stuff. But Dr. King didn't get killed for civil rights. He got killed because of economic. He decided that he was going to hit the nail on the head, and he was going to hit him where it hurts. And so it was his economic uprising that caused him to be killed, not the civil rights. So we've been basking in civil rights for the last 70 years. And in actuality, we never even stepped into the thing that he was actually killed for. So when are we going to rise up and do that, right? So anyway, I know. Stop. Remember, I'm a preacher, so I just, when I go, and it's Friday, so or Thursday, whatever day it is, it's crazy.
I hear you. Wow. Well, thank you for adding that question. It's really powerful. It was a powerful question for all of us, right? No matter what body we're in. And I really appreciate your thoughts and your honesty, your candor. And I am excited to see the work that will be the results of your epic dream, as well as the work that you are doing now in the community, particularly in Chester. And as you talk about the narrative, because, I know what I've seen in Chester. I know the vibrancy and the creativity that I've seen in Chester, and the seemingly ability for folks to take nothing and turn it into amazing is mind-boggling in some respects, in the midst of all of these negative narratives. And so I thank you, and I honor you, my king, and I pray that you will continue to deepen and grow, and that your influence will spread, and that others will, in fact, be inspired and encouraged by you as you fulfill your purpose. And just thank you so much.
Thank you for doing this, because again, as you said earlier, that we often don't get an opportunity to share our perspective as Black men. But I think what's a greater piece for this, and I'm looking forward to all the 100+ people that you interview, because if every one of us of that 100 take hold of the questions that you ask, they're the right questions for us to move our community to the next level. And so if 100 Black men, the same as we had the Million Man March and all that stuff, if 100 Black men rise up and say, you know what, that question that Val asked me, that's haunting me, because I felt it, but I haven't done anything about it. Because that's what, I have a saying on my wall that I live by, which says, don't drift, act, right? So, the devil and society gets us because we drift through. We get comfortable, and we just follow the wave and we go wherever, right? But that's not how you get anywhere. You have to act and you have to decide where you're going. And so we as Black men, we need to decide where we're going. And we need to decide how we're taking our family and take back responsibility for our family. Give our sisters a break, if you will, because that's the other piece that is missing for me. That's the other. There's question number 8. There's that, because that piece is crucial. We have for way too long, and again, this is a product of slavery. It was not part of how we were raised in, or the bloodstream that we have from the diaspora. But our role as men was diminished in slavery because our women had to protect us so that we didn't get killed. And so they gave their bodies, they gave their souls in order to do that. And we as men, though we've been protected to get to that point, have not taken back the responsibility of what they've done and give them an opportunity to breathe and just be who God made them to be. You know, something I did with I have a blended family. And so my wife already had 2 children when we got married. And so her son, when we got married, was 13 years old. And he had been told, you know, as we as Black people do, you're the man of the house. So he was always in that role, protecting his sister, protecting his mom, and, you know, and everything else. And so when we got married, I sat down with him, sat on the front porch, and I said, you know, I appreciate everything that you have done for the last 13 years of your life. I appreciate that. I am so thankful that you have guarded and protected this family for the last 13 years. I said, but you can now be a young man. You can be a teenager. You can have fun. I got this. Right. And so he and I, you know, talked one day, not too long ago. He now has 5, 6 children. And so he said to me, he said, Turner, you know, that day that you told me that I didn't have to be a man, I could just be a boy. He said it was the most liberating day in my life. I was torn because I thought you were taking something away from me, but you gave me exactly what I needed to be able to give to my children. And so, you know, so we have, you know, we don't talk that often, but we have those kinds of conversations. But that's what, you know, we as Black men, we need to step up, right? We need to step up and begin to give our wives, give our sisters, give our mothers, give the ladies in our lives an opportunity just to breathe, just to be beautiful, just to be free, just to run and twirl and whatever else they want to do. And we guarding them to make sure that nothing comes to hinder them in any way, shape, or form. That's probably paramount more than anything else I've said today. If we could do that, we would change our community overnight.
Wow. Well, thank you for that. I really appreciate you. Thank you. And thank you for joining us. I hope that you enjoyed and were as enlightened from this conversation as I was. If there is a positive and successful Black man in your life that you want to see highlighted in this forum, please click the link below or in my bio, fill out the nomination form, and we'll take it from there. Like I said, we are on our way to interviewing 100 successful and positive Black men. Success does not equal what he does for a living, as long as it's legal, you know what I'm saying? But it is about the impact that someone has on the lives of the people around them or the community and everything in between. Those are the brothers that we want, those ordinary brothers that are holding up our community that most of us don't even know exists. We want to highlight those brothers. And so in the meantime, please stay tuned for another amazing king next week. And in the meantime, please remember to spread love and have a great day. Thanks so much. And thank you, Jim. That was really wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you for doing it.